Responsible AI is obviously something that's hugely important for businesses, where we make sure that we don't include bias, ethics, or anything controversial to our use cases. And also to make sure that we safeguard our reputations. So what we're going to do is explore Google's AI's responsible practices and show you how to tweak them and how it blocks them and what you can do to programmatically increase or decrease the sensitivity to those thresholds. So let's go. Today is Responsible AI by Google, and what they're ultimately trying to do is ensure that the outputs that are generated by the AI software and tools is fit for purpose and doesn't include any bias and doesn't cause harm. Alright, if you wanted to check out one of my other training videos, there is a link below and I go into a little bit more detail. But basically what we ultimately aiming for here is good general recommended practices, and they basically walk through how they've approached safe AI and how they've basically learned about different types of image recognition, where it could look at different pixels, pigmentation, and those kinds of things, just to try and identify it, right? Because sometimes you do need to identify colors in a background image, for example, or for a marketing image, or for an advert, and it's not necessarily people, but it does require color differentiation. So there's something really important in that. Not everything is about gender or race. It's sometimes you do actually need to analyze colors. All right, so fairness ultimately taken through a whole bunch of training practices over here, and as you can see, they've got a lot of information around how they've gone about it, how they've basically looked at the information and tried to make sure that the software principles are being adhered to and maintained. There's a bit of a research paper over here, and how they're basically doing their learning and research and all those kinds of things. Right, so again, there's quite a lot of information out there. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. You feel free to walk through it yourself. What I'm going to do is show you the practical examples of the actual security and responsible AI in play here. All right, so what we can do is come into Gemini to Google app, and what we're going to do is also go into our AI Studio and also go into Vertex AI. But let's start off with Gemini as the consumer grade cloud enabled software, which basically is free for everybody on with the Gmail account. If you've got the advanced version, you can upgrade, you can start uploading photos and you can start doing a bit more. But for this demo, let's put in something here. Can a lion kill a man? All right. This should be a really easy answer. Look there, yes, lions can definitely kill a human, and it tells you why. All right, so that's a good thing here. Let's go here. Can I kill a lion for fun? Right, so what it's basically saying to you is absolutely not. Here's why killing a lion is wrong. All right, let's go and do a little bit more digging here. So let's type in what is harmful to lions. So now it's ultimately produced something over here. It's poachers. All right, so I wanted to try and block me here. I wanted to say, I want to say like, how do I become a poacher? All right, so here's now where it's actually getting a bit more of a sensitivity and harmful block here. So I will absolutely not provide information on how to become a poacher. Poacher is a terrible crime and has devastating effects. All right, so that's basically what it's doing here. It's basically blocking you at the point. It tells you what is harmful to lions, but it won't tell you how to go and do it. We can even go one step further. How to do lion gambling and betting on winners. Right, it shouldn't allow us to do this now either, because it's a harmful and All right, so it's, again, there is some good ethics and good responsible outputs over here. So it doesn't want to advocate for providing information online gambling or betting on winners. Here's why. And now this is ultimately where the safety, security, and responsible AI is coming from. I've used a very generic example here, but as you can see, if you wanted to start expanding it to doing other harmful activities, it should block you, and it will block you in most of the cases. It's up to us to make sure that whatever the outputs are, and if you feel like there's something that's been allowed, make sure that you don't allow it. But again, there's some gray areas to the responsible AI here. So what we want to do now is go into the AI studio, where we've got an ability to change these thresholds a little bit more. All right, so what we're going to do is use similar prompts over here. So can a lion kill a man? So let's start typing into ai.google.dev, and you will get a page like this. So what we're going to do is type in those very similar commands. But before we do that, let's just take a look at our safety settings on the right hand side. So we've got, as you can see, you can adjust your thresholds for each of these different categories over here. But let's leave it on the standard for now, and let's just type in here, can a lion kill a man? All right, so this should now not allow it, so no content, and if you click on it, it'll tell you why. All right, so there's harassment and it's high. We can edit the safety settings. So harassment, we want to block, we want to set this down, and hate speech, we've already set it as low. All right, so let's click on that, and let's just copy that again and press enter. Okay, so it's not allowing us to do this because there's high degree of harassment over here, and ultimately, so there's obviously a couple of things that we need to obviously tweak here. All right, so what we can do now is let's just type here, what is harmful to lions? All right, so here's the information, what is harmful to lions. And what we can do now is, how do I become a poacher? Right, this should now obviously block us, saying that it's reached a threshold. Okay, so now it's obviously put in here, so it's got dangerous content, a high probability of unsafe content. So this is basically how you can tweak it up in Google AI Studio, and this is really where things get more interesting. You've got more freedom and flexibility. So we can just go and open up, let's do a JavaScript over here, and you can see here by putting in your harm categories, you can start actually setting it for your environment. So if you call in your own code, you can now tweak this, and you can maybe move things down to low or high, just depending on the use case for your specific audience. All right, so as you can see, you've got some options to tweak things up here. There are going to be some false positives, but ultimately what Google AI is trying to do is try to keep things safe. I'll look to report these false positives just to improve the models, and you can do that too. So what are the safety attributes that Google has defined? So Google's defined the safety attributes for hate speech, harassment, sexually explicit, and dangerous contents. All right, so the definitions over here are around basically hate speech, which is negative or harmful comments, anything malicious, intimidating, or bullying. For harassment, sexually explicit is obviously anything like that, and dangerous content. All right, so you can basically set the thresholds over here. So in Google AI Studio, you can block a few, block some, block most through the threshold API, which is more your Vertex AI environment, and where you're able to sort of get more fine-grained control. You can start doing block none, which is restricted. There's only a few number of people and few number of use cases that they allow block none. Block highs, block aboves, etc. All right, and here's ultimately how the here's how you can basically remove the automated blocking for selected safety attributes. All right, so key differences between other model families, and and it'll basically show you how to do it. All right, so this is more for the advanced programmers, and again, looking to make sure that we are ethical and we remain safe is ultimately the goal here. Hopefully you found this useful, and if you wanted any more information, go and have a look at the documentation.